Okay, all right, good. You can bring me up a little more. Turn my makeup. Young guru, turn my makeup. Could I borrow one of those chairs? You mind? Oh, no, they all roll. I don't want to roll off this little platform. That wouldn't be cool. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so we'll just get started while we're working through some things. Thank y'all for coming, taking time out of your busy college schedules to come, chat with me. My name is Mumu Youssef. I also go by Mumu Fresh. I'm a singer, songwriter, MC. What else? Producer, educator, mom. I travel. Well, I've been traveling for maybe the past 15 years, doing music, also doing workshops and seminars and working with groups of young people, teaching songwriting, arts and activism. So I've been involved in a myriad of different things. I'm gonna just start open up with a song that I wrote for Sandra Bland. And this box that I'm using here, y'all are communication students, so basically it's just a looper, but it's also a harmonizer. I don't use the harmonizer that much, but I can do things like that. Sometimes in my lives, we all have strength. We all have soul. So that's the harmonizer portion. The looper portion, you kind of heard how it loops together. And there's no metronome though. That's the thing. This is the older version, so I just gotta keep the time and the tempo, but it helps me flex my melanin muscles. So I prefer it that way. So I wrote this song in first person so that we could identify personally with the story and with Sandra Bland's story. I was looking at like different videos when it first happened of different videos of the actual incident of her being drug out the car and beaten on the side of the road and the whole thing. And I just remember hearing people say, well, she's too mouthy, black women need to stop being so mouthy and maybe that wouldn't happen to them. And I didn't see the empathy for just the woman, for the human, who those actions weren't justified. There's no law book that will say that death is the justification, that's the punishment for being too mouthy or, whatever that even means, standing up for your rights. As writers and as artists, I feel like we have not just a responsibility, but a privilege. We have the privilege of being able to communicate things in a way that maybe other people in different fields may not know how to communicate. Toni Morrison says we give voice to the voiceless. So sometimes, there's nothing new under the sun, but as a writer, we offer perspective that maybe you didn't think about in that way. Perspective can change your whole life. You may have been doing things a particular way because you saw them a particular way. And the day that you see them differently, everything changes for you. Then you operate differently, you move differently. Your whole life changes when you see something a different way. All right, so that's what we can only hope to do as artists, is to change people's perspective. And as well, in the field of communication, that's, what you all do is also about, is changing people's perspective, helping them to see things in different ways. Thank you. Do dee dum dum do dee do dee do dee dum dum do dee do do dee dum dum do dee do dee do dee dum dum do dee do do dee dum dum do dee do dee do dee dum dum do dee dum dum do dee dum dum do Right, we used to call that doo-wop or something, right? We pull a little lookout for your dead homie and everybody just gather around and they just sing over the love one loss, right?
Who's gonna stand with me? Please, please, please don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Oh, say my name. Ooh, my name. Oh, my name. Say my name. Say my name.
Thank you. So I use this machine as a way to kind of to bring people into the moment, you know, to be present in the moment. A lot of times with music, especially, there's so much music available in so many different types of ways and formats, and sometimes we lose the magic of it, you know. When something's so accessible to us, we forget that music has magic, you know. It's the reason that Walmart and busy retail stores play music while you're shopping to make you shop more. You know, it's the reason that commercials put music. I just did a commercial for Ford. I don't know if y'all heard it, but anyways, it's a commercial that celebrates women of color in different fields. And, you know, they were real specific about the music being a certain way, coming in at a certain time, the key, everything, because there is a science to how sound ropes people in. It makes you feel a certain way. It will make you spend money impulsively because of how it makes you feel. It may even trigger a feeling of comfort from a time in your childhood, and you think that you want this particular item, but you really are looking for that feeling of comfort that you had in your childhood. And so psychologically, it plays on all of those things to make you, you know, be a consumer. I mean, it can be used for many different things. When I was growing up, When I was growing up, my mom's a singer, my grandmother's a singer, my uncles are singers and musicians. And I used to see my grandmother go to people's houses and she would lay hands on their bodies, like she would warm her hands up and she would start to sing. Her and my mom, they would start to sing. And wherever there was pain on a person's body, they would put their hands over it and start to sing into that part of the body and use the vibration of the sound to remove the pain. I mean, similar to, I guess, what a doctor would do with like ultrasound or something like that. But individuals don't believe that we have this same power of sound. That's the first instrument that God gave you, right, was the vocal cords, right, to be able to, and that's how the vocal cords work. They vibrate to create a sound. And I would hear her do something like a Dr. Watts style. Like one person would start, ooh. They wouldn't do that, though. And for Dr. Watt style, right, you ain't really got to be able to sing. It's about the vibration and the energy that you're bringing. You know, so it'll always be like older women, mamas, you know, grandmas. It wasn't about taking training in school, you know, they would do. Spiritual blockages that are in your body. They will massage it, they will pray, and they will pray.
Nobody knows the trouble I see, but my Jesus, He's gonna work it out. He's gonna work it out. Oh, give it to the Lord.
And working and praying, and literally saving souls using this vibration of sound, which is science. But in the old days, it's just God. You know, they just call it God. They didn't call it science. They call it God. Okay, sorry, we abruptly cut off. That's all I could do. So that was my first introduction to what sound could do, how healing and powerful sound was. Later on, as I started to, sing different, like open mics and different things like that as I became a teenager, the idea of music for money, became a thing. Like, hey, but you can get paid from it, if you record a song, do some R&B, da-da-da-da. And it became this whole other thing that was not my origin. But I started to realize, okay, the same way that people are able to be healed, in this one-room house, through these sound waves, broadcasting through sound waves, we can heal 1 million people at the same time with the right frequencies and with the right energy behind it, with the right lyrics, with the right notes and keys, and the right vibration behind what we're doing. So I started independently. So when I first put out my first record, maybe it was 2004, I want to say 2000, maybe 2003. And this is kind of before people were really using like the internet to promote music. It was kind of like you had to have a record deal. Independent was looked at as like you just broke, basically. Like you couldn't get on, and so you're independent. But I was homeschooled until maybe like the 10th grade, so I came from a real kind of free way of thinking. Even the way I looked at information was really information was power. You know, it wasn't until I went to a high school, to a public school, that I realized that information was just to take tests that didn't matter, you know, in the rest of your life. And I was like, that's so weird that y'all would do it that way. Like, what's the point of that? And like I would literally get put out of class for asking too many questions. But when I understood information, and especially like history, what's happening at this point in time, well, and if the teacher would tell you, well, this is what it was, and well, how could that be if this was also happening at the same time period here and there? That doesn't add up. They didn't want to have those conversations, but that wasn't what was on the test. But that's the way I look at information. So when I first started, I started from where I was and what I had, which wasn't much. I got a job. I knew I said, okay, I want to put a record together. I met Raheem Devon at a nightclub in Baltimore. I think it was called like Intellects, maybe, somewhere downtown. And I was asking him, you know, I saw him and he was killing the crowd, you know what I mean? So I was like, how do you put out a record? Like, what do you feel like are the first steps to start if you want to like be an artist in the industry and put out a record? He said, well, you know, get some guys together, musicians or some producers, and record an album. You can't really, you know, you won't be able to get shows or tours if you don't have an album. I said, cool. So back then I didn't know how to record. I didn't understand that you're supposed to put like each musician on a different track, you know what I'm saying? Preferably don't be in the same room so it's not bleed into the mic. We were all in the same room. Do you guys do audio engineering in this department? You do audio engineering? Okay. So you know how messy that is to have the entire band all playing at the same time together. But at that time, it was like, all right, I got $500. We're going to rehearse in my auntie living room real good. Nobody's going to mess up. We're going to do each track at one time. You know, everybody's in the same room, even the vocalists. We're all in the same room together. But it did have a vibe and an energy. I mean, that's kind of like how the old school cats, you know, did it. Ours was more about lack of budget. But we recorded this project, and it was, you know, not correct the way we did it, but it was real raw and it was honest. And we meant every word, every lick. It was a band that I was gigging with at Dunbar High School. Some of the guys from Dunbar, we put this band together called Series B, the Ultimate Series B crew. And actually the name Series B, is anybody familiar with the Dogon of Mali, West Africa? No? Okay. Yes? Okay. So we were reading a book called Ivan Van Sertima, Blacks in Science. That was like our science history book when we were homeschooled. And my mom created the whole curriculum. Like, it was totally not recognized by the state. She put it together herself from books that she felt like this will create a whole person with knowledge of self, you know. So there was a portion in the book where he talked about the Dogon people and how when they saw this constellation, the Sirius constellation, the Sirius B star in particular, that was when a new leader was chosen, when the agricultural cycle would start over. So it was this feeling of rebirth and renewing and new leadership. And we said, well, that's what we want to be for the music business, for our communities, for the music scene. So we recorded this whole project, and we were independent at the time and just selling our records, you know, one by one. But again, like I'm telling you, I don't even think YouTube was like popping like that back then. I don't know, we was probably too poor to afford computers anyway, but I don't think we weren't. Yeah, I don't think that was like really accessible. So we literally had to like walk up and down Walbrook Junction and where else are we? Just all over the city, downtown selling CDs, you know. Later on, we ended up getting a record deal with Sony Music and recording there. I ended up touring with the Roots and with Common, recording with them. We ended up getting a Grammy nomination. And I'd gone through all of this stuff in the music industry, which was very, very different from how I had started off, what I knew about sound, vibration, and healing. And I got into the music business, and it wasn't about that at all. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. Because I started not just from a perspective of healing, but I also started from a perspective of freedom, a perspective of activism. I know I would have been an activist even if I couldn't sing or if I couldn't rap, if I didn't choose music. That just happened to be the mechanism that I used to express how I felt about the world, you know, and about myself in relationship to the world. And when I got into the music business, they wanted me to quiet that part of me. They kept saying, you know, you would be so successful if you would just stop that old black power shit. That's not going to work for you. Nobody's ever going to buy that. And we were really before our time, you know. We were kind of like, or in the middle of our time. We kind of missed the 90s era, you know, where that was cool. And it was before this time where it's become cool again. And we were just in this middle slot where nobody wanted to hear what we had to say. And so for me, I couldn't really change, you know, because for a lot of people, they're able to like put it on, take it off. You know what I mean? It's like a hat. Culture or activism or wokeness, whatever, it's like a hat. You can change it for the day. Like, this ain't the woke party, let me put on my sleep party hat. And I couldn't really do that, you know. I was like, well, this is just who I am, so if the world don't want it, then cool, you know. I'm gonna want myself though. Like, I'm still good with me. So I decided to leave the music business. And I said, I'm just gonna record on my own. I bought equipment. I bought like, you know, a laptop and all this recording equipment and software. And a good friend of mine, I just sat with him at his house and learned how to just work it myself. And I said, I'm gonna record myself. And I'm gonna prove to y'all that this can be done in there, because they kept saying there's no market for what you do. Nobody wants to, black people don't wanna think, that's what they told me. Black people don't wanna think. There's no market for what you do. And I said, well, if they don't wanna think, it's because you don't allow them to think. There's nothing for them to think about. And so, to me, in my mind, even as an 18-year-old, I said, well, I think markets are created. I think you create the market and the people gravitate towards what you give them, as opposed to the market being there. Because what about people like me? I know I'm not the only person that exists like that. I mean, I know I was raised kind of wild outside the system, but I believe that there are other people that you're just not servicing because you don't want to service them. Because imagine if people started to be able to make their own decisions about the kind of music that they listen to, if the music was waking up people's senses spiritually, mentally, emotionally, they would start to make different choices about everything, about the foods that they're eating. They wouldn't be going to McDonald's, about the clothes that they're buying. They wouldn't buy clothes that are sold for like 3,000 times their worth. You know what I'm saying? How capitalism would suffer if people start to make decisions based on truth and reality and justice. You see how that would affect everything else in the system? So to me, I was like, okay, well, I get that you don't want to service this market because that will be a problem for capitalism in and of itself if we all start to really think for ourselves. Because music is one of the main sources of propaganda for capitalism, you know. So I just said, fine, I'm gonna step back from it. Y'all don't, you know, I'm gonna create my own music. I'm gonna learn how to work this equipment. And so I started recording my own stuff. And so by this time, YouTube was popping, because I remember I shot my first video like in 2011, and we put it up on YouTube. But it was still kind of seem like, oh, you're not on TV or you're not on VH1. So like now that stuff, I mean, I think it's kind of obsolete now, because even TV has kind of become obsolete because of the internet, you know. Like I have a TV, but I don't ever even turn it on. So that was like, but we still was pushing it through YouTube and using this platform. And I would go to all these different conferences, you know, with other artists who were like more established, have been in the game a long time, and they'd be complaining about the internet. The internet's ruining everything. It's crashing the music business. Everything is ruined. Well, you know, everybody's running for the hills. The music game is over. And I thought to myself, like, nah, it's not over. It's just beginning. I'm actually really happy about this. You know, I'm happy that this old system of sharecropping is dying. Y'all know what sharecropping is? So my grandma from Mississippi, she was a sharecropper. You work the land, but you'll never own the land. You never own the fruit that it bears. You know what I'm saying? All you can do is toil the soil over and over and over again. And then at the end of the season, you give all your yield, all your produce, right? You have all your vegetables and your fruits. And they'll say, okay, this vegetable and this fruit is only worth this. So you're still in debt this amount. So I'm gonna go ahead and loan you some more tools and some more land and work some more. Let's see if next season you make enough to be out of debt. And you're never out of debt. That's how artists live. Never out of debt as long as they're inside of the system of the music business. It's sharecropping. But then there is this almost like this cool kids club, or this ego-driven, like unspoken law that you have to live beyond your means in order to be valuable. You get what I'm saying? You gotta rent things that you can't really afford, that you can never pay back, so that you can look valuable to people who can't afford the very things that you can afford. But you have to look like you can, or else there's no value. And it's also, how else will you bait other young children into getting into the music game if you don't show them this ridiculous lifestyle that you actually do not live. It goes back to consumerism, right? It goes back to capitalism. It really does. And we lose the basis of this sound that's supposed to be used for healing. That's supposed to be used to get free. How can we get free if the music is in bondage? So I was like, all right, I'm going to start recording. I recorded my own project. Matter of fact, I did a show one time. And this brother came out to the show. He's this Indian brother. And he said, man, I love your music so much, and I'm so upset that it's not mainstream. I'm going to give you half of my paycheck every week to record your album and shoot your videos. And he did this for like years, like real talk. Just a regular dude with a good job was like, I'm going to make sure that the world, that you're able to get your music out the way that you want to do this. You know, record your band. We did live band the right way. We tracked everybody separately. And we took the band on tour. We did this, you know, we created the first, like, the sounds that were in my mind. I was for the first time able to see them be coming into the real world. And because of the internet, we're able to broadcast it to the world. We could say, you know, like, the industry didn't have a stronghold on anymore. Because you ever heard of people being put on the shelf, to, you know, somebody's shelf? When you're signed to a label, they can decide if the world ever hears you or not. And if they say you can't put out nothing, you can't put out nothing. They can silence you. And for me, that was always so scary to me. Like, that's one of the reasons that when I got off the label, I never went back. And I knew that it would be a slower climb for me because, you know, they got the world in the palm of their hand and they can turn light switches on and off, say yes or no, and change what your reality is overnight.
Oh, talking to it? Okay, sorry. Yes, they can change what your reality is overnight. But I was okay with the slower climb because I knew in the end I would be able to do what I wanted to do. I'd be able to speak freely and honestly and truthfully. I'd be able to speak truth to power. For real, for real. Not just, you know, the truth that's pre-approved. You know there's pre-approved truth, right? When people pretend like they woke, they're not really progressive enough. You know, you just woke enough not to offend nobody, but not woke enough to actually move anything forward. To me, those people are the most detrimental to the progress. Because the illusion that we're progressing overnight, we're actually staying in the same place, very, very stagnant. So anyway, yes, okay. I was very happy that the industry was crashing. Finally. Okay, Rome was crumbling. And I knew that this new wave of technology would allow us to speak directly with no filter, you know. Because normally on a label, you record, you know, your record. They get to tell you, no, you can't say this, you can't say that. Maybe our sponsors don't like this or that, or we don't like this, that. You gotta wear this, you gotta wear that. And you're never really able to be honest and be truthful, you know. You really are a puppet, you know, for the most part. And even when you make a lot of money, because people have this idea of, well, I mean, well, at least so making money. You can't say nothing about they making money. As if you can't still be a paid slave. Money doesn't stop you from being a slave. Sometimes it enslaves you more because now the people who put you in that position can also take you out of that position. You know what I mean? This idea that you built yourself when you didn't, you know? So for me, I was just like, I want to start outside of this system and break down the doors of Babylon. That's my goal, yes. And I knew that this new wave of technology would be the answer, especially because the industry was like losing their mind. Oh, we hate the internet. What was that streaming service that they sued? Napster, right? That was like the first one. It was like Napster's ruining everything. And that was created a whole nother, and for a lot of artists, you know, they didn't like it because like we're not getting paid and blah, blah, blah. And basically what we had to do was find new streams of income. YouTube, a lot of artists had found a way to monetize YouTube, even though they're shutting that down now. But I kind of feel like, how you still want to advertise on my song but not pay me? Anyway, so we have monetizing YouTube, monetizing Spotify and Tidal and all the streaming services. Also partnering with brands again, like car commercials, different types of brands that want to reach a demographic that they don't have a stronghold in. And you can create a song that reaches that demographic and will now make that demographic pay attention to a company that normally they wouldn't pay attention to. That's how powerful music is, and it's valuable, and they will pay you for that. So we just had to start branching out and figuring out how to make money in other ways. But the good thing about it is that if you weren't on a label, you didn't have to sell 1 million records to live real comfortable, because you don't have to break bread with 30 people. You know, you might just have to break bread with the 2 people that helped you produce it, or help you pay it, or pay for it, or record it. So it created a whole new, the playing field became much more level, and you were able to survive and able to thrive. And you see artists, well, there's an illusion now that some artists are independent who are actually not. Because if you are, other companies besides labels are giving deals now, like cell phone companies and streaming companies. So they're just taking the role of the record companies. So they'll say this person's independent, but not really, because they're still signed with a major company. I think the only difference now is that the rules are not set in stone. For a long time, the business had, these are the rules, these are the standards. You can't go outside of this. No one's ever done it before. If you haven't seen the movie Ray Charles was one of the first, not just black people, but people period, to ever own his masters, because he believed that he should. Thank you all for coming. Come again. Goodbye. Go with God. So is it 12:30? Okay. So it changed the playing field and allowed us to have more flexibility with how we could reach our audiences one by one. And then social media took it to a whole nother level. Because back in the day, you didn't get to know your artists, right? Your artists didn't have to be the same person that their music projected at all. But with social media now, you get to know who the person is, and connect with that person individually and decide if you like who this person is and what they represent. And that changes the way that we're able to engage with our audiences and the way that we're able to build fan bases, Like a lot of times when people reach out to me on social media, like that's how I build street teams in different cities. Whoever that super fan is in that city, I'm contacting you, I'm sending you some merch, I'm sending you flyers, get 2 of your girlfriends and promote this show before we get there. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, I call it like guerrilla warfare style, where you are recreating or restructuring whatever the rules were. Because initially the rules used to be, you have to be so removed, you have to be different than them, you have to be something they want to aspire to, you can't be regular, you have to treat them like you're above them. And that's really not the case now. The case really is about connecting with your audiences and showing them that where our similarities are, and also what you can also aspire to. Because as much as, one day I might die like Pharrell be in Amalfi Coast in Pompeii singing in the Coliseum in the ruins, and then next week I could really be in Southeast, like sleeping on my front couch. I mean, I have my own home, but sometimes I do, as I move around. And to me, that's the balance of being a whole human. Because you wonder why so many artists end up committing suicide or really losing their minds or going to a point where they're breaking because they're not allowed to be humans. They're not allowed to have these ebbs and flows and these the balance that keeps you on track. Like Dave Chappelle said, these are strong people, but the environment that you're in is unhealthy. It's toxic. So to me, the way that you protect yourself from your own ego, because your ego can send you through the worst mental trips ever. To protect yourself from your own ego, you stay rooted. You know what I mean? Whenever you feel yourself getting to the point where you ain't connected, you gotta reconnect. I go down to my mom's house, some land in Virginia, just sleep outside, dig your feet into the earth, stay connected and rooted to your purpose and the experiences that God gave you to be able to reach back and touch each one of us. Because if you ain't doing that, what you doing this for at all? And most people, they lose that point. They don't know why they're doing it anymore. And it's not fun anymore. It becomes a prison that they can't get out of. And then you see people commit suicide as hell. Can you get out of your prison besides leaving your body, When you've adapted, you've agreed, you made agreements with these illusions that really don't serve you as a human and it doesn't serve your community at all. So, that's what I have to say. Y'all got any questions? Yes.
Um, how was it performing beside him?
Was it like performing beside him?
Yes.
Well, I think the first time, so I used to like his CD or tape was like the first tape I ever bought, maybe when I was like 9 or 10. I bought this album called Resurrection, and One Day It All Makes Sense. Okay, you know about that one. So honestly, the first time I actually recorded on a B album. You know the song that goes, how beautiful love can be on the streets, love is hard to see. So that's me singing on that chorus. Oh, yeah, so the first time I came into the studio, it was him and Kanye, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, I was so hot. I was like, oh my God, that's the guy who made I used to love her. Oh my God. Right? And then this is probably, I guess, around the time, no, College Dropout came out first, and then what, Late Registration, I think, came out after that. This was maybe right after Late Registration. And I remember Kanye was like, yo, spit some balls, I heard you can spit. So I'm just like, I can't remember what I was saying. I don't know, but something I was spitting for him anyway. Forget the mission that I speak of sex mission, too many figures to mention, but I'm here, won't you listen? Sit in, get your side of more in nutrition, will make you it up before you make a decision without evidence presented and insisted. Take you no time to get religious, gonna think and burn the bridges, it's better we had no business. He was like, all right. So I just started like, he's like, all right, switch something up. So I'm just like, going. He's like, all right, you can rap. And no, but it was weird, because honestly, I really ain't even like talk to Common like that, because I couldn't even, like, I was just tripping, like, oh my God, I used to love her. And he asked me to go on tour, maybe like when that album first came out, it was a tour with the album. But I ended up giving birth to a child, to my son, and he was just too small to really take on a role like that. And for maybe 4 or 5 years, I didn't tour. I was just home writing music. Like, all right, when my son get old enough, strap him on my back and we going back on the road. And when he did get old enough, I ended up touring. Not with Common though. When I put my album out, I put a tour together myself, you know, because I just hate this idea of you gotta wait for somebody to put you on. I was like, nah, I'm putting myself on. So I'm like, I know enough people in different cities, like, yo, you got an event in your city? Cool, I'm coming through. Can we make that my release party? Bet, let's go. And literally just taking the records, driving to all these different cities, rocking the crowd, building new audiences and new fan bases all over. You put that online, you got 20 cities. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not waiting for somebody else to find you valuable. You find yourself valuable and you put the work in and you make it happen. And so that was like my US tour. And then I met this guy who brought me to Belgium. And I ended up rocking in Belgium and Antwerp and a couple of Brussels and Antwerp. And then I met somebody else. Matter of fact, this guy, he's a Hare Krishna priest. This is how my life works. He's a Hare Krishna priest. And I don't even know how he found me, but he was like, my Mona Yusuf needs to come to Nigeria. She's gonna heal all the children in Nigeria. So he starts asking randomly around, like, do you know my Mona Yusuf? And they're like, no. And so he's at a Sangoma. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sangomas in South Africa. It's like kind of like a religion or an initiation. So he's with some Sangomas in South Africa. One of them happens to be my mom's friend. He's like, do you know my Mona Yusuf? I'm looking for this girl. I feel like she's gonna save the world. So she's like, yeah, that's my friend's daughter. So anyway, he leaves a voicemail on my mom's crib, like, I am looking for your daughter. She needs to come to Nigeria and save the youth. So I'm like, man, this weird dude left this message on my voicemail. It's real creepy, right? So I get my manager at the time, like, call him back, see if he's creeping now. So everything checked out, he seemed cool. He flew us to Nigeria. We stayed out here for a month. I ended up meeting Femi Kuti. Y'all familiar with Femi Kuti? He's the son of Fela. Fela is the father of Afrobeat music. Anyway, I ended up hanging out with them. We ended up recording a song. And we had an amazing time. Like, just all the stuff that people say about Nigeria is really not true. They're like, oh, be careful. You might get killed out there. I'm like, I'm from Baltimore. I think if I survive this long, I'll be okay. I mean, I did die, like, shut down by the police, but that can happen here, you know? So, yes, we recorded this song, and I came back to America with him. We had a tour in America, so I came back to America with him. And I'm performing, like, his sisters, you know, they taught me to dance and everything, so I'm performing with them. And Common just happens to, like, he's shooting some movie in Canada, and they were, like, on break in New York, and he, So he's like, he sees me on stage, and he's like, oh yeah, Mumu, I forgot about you, how you doing, girl? So I get off stage, whatever, we chat, and he's like, yo, I'm about to do this Africa Day show in Canada. You should come and rock with me. So I'm like, yeah, So anyway, he flies me to Canada. I do the show with him. And people are tripping because I had just come back from Nigeria, so I'm doing all these colloquialisms and dances, and they tripping, like, they was like rapping, they just started like screaming for her. He's like, yeah. He's like, wait a minute. They screaming for her. So he was like, look, can you stay with me? So I ended up maybe 4 years, touring around for like 4 or 5 years after that. And I think in the beginning it was definitely like, still that kind of feeling like, oh my God, like my mentor, and then Most Def and Quality, they ended up touring with us. And I don't know if y'all familiar with the Black Star album, but as a kid, man, oh my God. So we sitting there, we doing I Used to Love Her, right? So he like, yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat, y'all, rock on. So DJ Dummy, who's J. Cole's DJ now, he puts in, dum, 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 and then he takes it back out. Yes, y'all, and you don't stop, dum, 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 dum. So Most definitely like on the side of the stage, right? He's throwing rose petals on himself. And he just over here go like this, right? He go like this. And then so I just run over there and give him my mic, like, please, you gotta do your, but the new moon rose high on the ground of the metropolis. Shining like who on top. I fell out. Like for a moment I had to remember, like, stop, you're on stage. You're supposed to look like, I was like, that's my jam. So anyway, it was definitely moments like that took me back to like being a kid. Like I remember like playing the tape in my bedroom, like you like writing down all the rap lyrics. Like so when I was a kid, my brother had this rule that girls couldn't come on the front steps, they couldn't rap. So I think his whole purpose was that we'd never learn to rap and we'd never be able to come outside. However, my sister ain't learned how to rap, so she had to stay inside. But I started coming outside every day, just like trying to freestyle, trying to battle. He's one of them like Joan and battle rappers who just like destroy your whole self-esteem every time he rap. He gonna rap about your head napping, your teeth crooked, and your this and that. You know what I mean? Your toes are sideways, and you gotta just take your little bruised up, broken pride, limp back in the house, and try again the next day. So I think he took an interest in me, like, she takes a butt whipping pretty well, So he started saying, write down all the lyrics to 36 Chambers. I was like, oh, the little girl is probably mad and appropriate. But anyway, I'm sitting there writing down, cash rules everything around me. So he really got me into hip hop real early. And I remember the first time I heard Outkast. I was near Elevators. Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. Rolling on the set. And I was like, man, what's that sound? That's incredible. So I really started mixing all these things that were my influences into music that I was doing. So anyway, I have probably toured with all of my heroes, from Lauryn Hill to D'Angelo to I haven't met Outkast. I didn't meet Big Boy, but Andre don't be trying to come out before. So many, Mose, Carly, Nas, I perform with all those guys. At this point, when I see him, it's hey, Mumu, what's up, Nas? That's the weirdest shit ever. To me, I'm saying, it's still weird to me. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, me. But it's a good thing. It's a really rewarding thing when your work ethic is what proves it. Because I wasn't on a label, so it wasn't like somebody stamped me and endorsed me and said, here, make a record with her or be cool with her. That's normally how it happens. It's like somebody puts you in a position and tells other people they have to respect you because you're signed to this person and your deal was $1 million or $10 million or whatever. But based on real life merit, I climbed up here on my own, you know what I'm saying? And made you respect me based off of my work ethic, based on the fact I just wouldn't quit, that I just kept coming for you over and over again. So it's you have to pay attention. You're this little girl just won't shut up. She just, you know what I mean? So to be there on that merit and for them to have to respect me, also based on how the crowd respond, you know what I mean? All my heroes is rapping the illest shit ever written, and still when I come on stage and go in, the crowd's like, oh! They gotta respect that. They're okay, all right, little girl, I see you, So that was my really long answer Probably Lauryn Hill. So I had snuck into the Dave Chappelle block party. I was trying to, I wanted to perform, but they were like, no, you ain't on, you can't perform. And one of my friends, Martin Luther, who he used to sing background with the Roots before I started working with the Roots. And he was like, why don't you just come through as I'll tell him you're my background singer, and you can just slide in and try to parlay after. I'm saying he's been one of my like greatest mentors. That was always his belief, like, don't wait for them to open the door for you. If that joint even cracked a little bit, we busting in, we coming in, we gonna figure it out once we get there. So I got all dressed up. I think I was working at Urban Outfitters, making $6 an hour. I used to hate folding the clothes. And I'd be singing, and people say, you ever thought about singing? No, I just want to fold clothes. Actually, this is what I want to do with my life. Okay, I just want to fold the clothes you left in the damn dressing room. And so some days I'll be sitting there crying, oh God, why? I know there's more for me. Look, you said I really did it, because I got it.
That's right.
Anyway, so he said, all right, you can come with me. So I spent my last little money getting this outfit for Urban Outfitters. And I got on the bus and I came there and I met him and I walked in with him. And I really just wanted to meet Lauryn Hill. I was like, if I meet Lauryn Hill, my whole life is set. I love her. Like I work with the ground she walks on. So I'm sitting, so in the meantime, I ain't knowing the people's gonna be there. So I'm sitting there reading this book called The Alchemist. And Big Daddy Kane just walks up to me like, well, yo, what you reading? And I'm like, so I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to be cool, like trying to explain to him the story. Jill Scott walks over and I'm telling her the story. Dave Chappelle walks over and I'm telling him the story of The Alchemist. I'm like, this is so wild. Is anybody in here ever read The Alchemist? So you know how he's on this journey of self-discovery. I'm like, oh shit, that's me. I'm like, I'm in The Alchemist. This is happening. This is a hip-hop alchemist right now. So I'm like, dang, that's so crazy. Like everything that's happening here is happening to me. And so I was sitting in rehearsal and the Roots were there. I think Kanye was there. Kanye was probably there too. Erica. And even though I love Erica, but Lauren was still like my it person, And she wasn't there. She was like all day long waiting for her to come, and she didn't come. And I'm like, maybe she's not gonna come, And then the Roots manager was like, all right, everybody who's not on stage, who's not performing, you gotta get out. And then she's like, who are you with? I was like, I'm with Martin Luther. She was like, oh, you can't be with him. He's the background. How the background gonna have background? I was like, oh, well, I mean, he's my ride. She was like, nah, you gotta go. So she puts me out, and I'm walking out. I'm like, wait, this is not supposed to end. This is like, I'm gonna sit end like this. Like, he got the pot going at the end. And so I'm walking out, like, accepting my defeat. As a matter of fact, I had a bandmate, the one I was saying, we started rapping together. And this I'm gonna tell you about the ego. He didn't get to meet anybody because he was so upset that they weren't respecting him. Like, yeah, after they won't respect me, I'm better than everybody, nah. And I'm just like, all right, but at the same time, we haven't paid the same dues that they paid, so whether you feel like you're dope or whatever the case may be, it is what it is. The Bible says humility before honor. So, he made, come on, let's go, forget them, we ain't gotta see and deal with this. I'm like, oh, I was so close. So I'm walking out, and Stickman from Dead Prez, y'all familiar with Dead Prez? So Stickman from Dead Prez walks out, and he starts singing a song that my mom's Native American. He sings a song that she wrote about the Trail of Tears in the 1830 Indian Removal Act. And so he's singing, Chickasaw, 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 Oklahoma Trail. And I just turned around like, wait, how can you know that song? That's my mother wrote that song. He was like, yeah, he'd come to some performance randomly before and had heard me sing it and remembered it. And I was like, that's so weird. I was like, wow. So I just want to tell y'all, love and respect. Like, I definitely blasted day schools. Y'all familiar with day schools? Day schools can't teach that shit. I definitely blasted that out of high school, like, every day. And so I'm just walking out, accepting my defeat, getting in the cab, like, damn, this is how my story gonna end? And then I get a phone call. We pulling off. I get a phone call. I'm like, I had a bunch of expensive outfits for nothing. And my friend Martin Luther like, yo, come back. Dead Prez singer didn't show up. They want to know if you know any of their music. I was like, tell them I know all their music. I'm turn around, my moment is here. So I turn back around, and he takes me in there, and I walk past the Roots manager, who I love now, we're so cool now, and I walk up like, you trying to put me out, I'm and so we did a whole rehearsal, and I'm just sitting like, yes, I just come to my moment. So I did a whole rehearsal, and I knew all these songs, because I used to listen to them in high school, and So as we leave, I'm like, damn, Lauren is still not here yet. And I hear somebody say, Lauren doesn't want nobody here when she's rehearsing. All y'all gotta clear out. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus. So I'm like hiding by the bathroom. I was like, I gotta meet her. I know like a creep right now, but I have to meet her. So anyway, I'm waiting. See, she walks down home. I'm like, damn. So I pop out, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that I love you so much and you mean so much to me. And like I rap and I sing too, and you were like, you know, the biggest inspiration because you know you're a black girl and like you're really smart and you can really spit and like you wasn't naked and you know you really respected yourself and you on your queen shit and like I really that's like what I want to do. And she just says, okay, thanks. And then she walks away. And I was like, and if you want to be friends, I mean, I'll be here all week. But I'm a little sad because I felt like our moment was going to be a little different, you know? But I was like, it's cool. I met Lauren Hill. I did what I came here to do. So I left, came back the next day. No, and this is the crazy part. Not only was I not supposed to perform, ended up performing, I still get paid to this day from that performance. Because it aired and I filled out paperwork with SAG and the whole thing, right? I was like, look at God, this is so interesting. But my cousin, who was really, really upset about it, I love him, and if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. But he was really, really upset about not being respected, that he left, and he didn't come back. And sometimes it's like that, where you really got to, you know, navigate this playing field, because sometimes people are not going to give you respect. Sometimes they're not going to know your value and your worth. That don't mean you're not valuable and worthy, you know, but they don't have to acknowledge it for it to be the truth. You know, you stand in your power and you wait for your moment because you know that your moment's between you and God. It ain't got nothing to do with all these other characters in the book. You're the main character in your book. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's a sub-story to your story. So anyway, the next day, I ended up performing with their prayers. I mean, it was still to this day one of the most memorable performances of my life. Because I'm thinking, oh my God, I battled with Coochie Rap. Do you understand? Like, what? It was insane. Like, it was so, I felt like I was floating on a cloud. I had to go to the bathroom and like scream, but like quietly. Because see, I was probably like maybe 18 or 19. And I remember thinking that older people look real depressed. So I would like, look at all my pictures, I'm like, because in my mind, that's how you look more mature by looking real serious and like, you know, like you low-key hate life. So I was like, why was I looking so sad when I was so happy? But I think I was trying to look more mature. But as I'm walking off the stage, Lauren Hill's walking past me to go on stage. This was the first time the Fugees had a reunion. And she walks past and says, hey, I remember you. Oh my God. I love you. And that was enough for me. So fast forward, I've opened for Lauren several times. I've done Beverly Bonds Rock Like a Girl at the Kennedy Center. I've opened for her at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Denver. Like, it's a whole different vibe now. And now I'm not looking for the same kind of like validation from her, you know what I mean? So I can respect this. So, oh, peace, what's up, sis? And then keep it moving. You know what I mean? Because I know what I've contributed to the rap game for real, and to the independent music game, and to young women who are business owners. Because I mean, from the time I was 17, I had my own LLC. You know what I mean? I was writing checks. You know what I mean? At 17, 18 years old. And I know that a lot of the struggle that I've gone through is going to open the door for somebody coming behind me. It's not always about you benefiting from your own struggle. It's really not. You know what I mean? First time I had a professional photo shoot on a record label, they gave my cousin a whole, rack full of clothes, and they gave me a tattoo to put on. And it was literally, you had to go back and forth about the fact that I want to wear clothes. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you're young, your body, why waste that? I said, well, he young, he got a body too. Why we waste his? You know what I mean? But from the beginning, having to fight that misogyny of, I am worth something beyond my body. My body's not the only thing that's valuable for me. And honestly, it's probably not the most valuable. Like, I have something really to contribute to the world. And it don't start with my body, you know what I mean? I mean, I gave birth to a child who's amazing, so yes, but other than that, I really wanted a chance to get to be seen for more, than that, than sex. And I believe that my struggle and everything I've gone through and the way that it's shaped my music is opening the door for girls to come behind me who won't even know my struggle because it won't exist in the same way. Like the school I went to, I remember they didn't allow singers to study jazz. And they would say that classical music is the root of all music. And if you can sing classical, then you can sing anything. And my thought is, how can you be the root if you didn't come first? I'm sorry. You didn't come first. You can't be the root. And just because you can sing European classical, jazz is American classical. Okay? European classical is European classical. Jazz is American classical music. And just because you can sing European classical music don't mean you can sing the blues. It don't mean that you can sing jazz. It don't mean you can sing soul. And all of these genres, American genres, are valuable. They come from an experience. They come from a root. They have purpose. They matter. And they are a fine art. For real, they are. And everyone else in the world knows that. But you'll see people of color do not celebrate the fine art that we created here. And, you know, I got put out of class or whatever. And, but I would like to say, years later, I've gone back to visit my old high school, and now they let singers sing jazz. I like to think I had something to do with it. Any other questions? Yeah.
At what point in your life did you realize, okay, I served my purpose? I've done what God has brought me here to do.
I don't think I realized that yet. I think I'm still in the process of doing that. And I think every day, nothing is stagnant. Every day is happening. It's in the middle of happening. And we can always go this way, that way. I'm always checking in. Am I in my purpose? Like each footstep, am I walking in my purpose right now? You can tell when you a little bit off center. You know, one of my good friends, she always talks about the pouring. Nicole Parker, she calls it the nectar. You know what I mean? That of God's nectar. And sometimes when stuff be real kind of messed up because you ain't in the nectar flowing right. If the nectar didn't stop flowing, you just ain't in it. And when you step into it, there you go. That's that good feeling. You know, so we always got to check. Am I in it? Am I not in it? You know, and the ego got a big part to do with that. Like really checking in with yourself, stalking yourself to be like, am I these are my feelings and my words and my actions, are they based out of my purpose, out of spirit, or are they based in my ego, or my flesh self? You know what I mean? So that's a constant, everyday checking in and be like, did I make that decision out of this or out of that? So I don't even feel like, I feel like I am in the process of and that's my everyday goal, to walk in my purpose. I think it hasn't completely been solidified yet, because I know what I want to create in the world. You know, I want to create real life institutions that serve as blueprints for independent music business, how to do independent music, to move away from the sharecropper blueprint into a true, free and fair blueprint that uplifts music of high vibration and allows it to live and thrive and breathe and to really be able to heal all of us the way it was intended to be. So even though I feel like I do it in my walk here and there, and I make music and I extend from what's in my heart, but what I want to leave behind is infrastructure. So it can never be, there's no mistake about it, what I meant. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be left for interpretation. When I'm gone, it's gonna be infrastructure left there behind. So this is the road map. You know how to get there. This is the path. Let's take it. For the path to be open, to be clear. It won't be full of, you know what I mean? Like, right, me coming into the game, the path wasn't even there. It was kind of like, is that a path? It could be a path. You know what I mean? Having to like brush away the weeds and the this and the that. People saying, why are you taking that path? Oh my God, you ain't gonna never be shit. You ain't gonna make no money. You ain't gonna, don't you know sex sells? Well, you think you gonna beat the game? You can't beat the game. You know what I mean? And still being able to push away all of this stuff, and you figure it out as you're going. But when you go through that path, the next girl walking is gonna be like, oh, of course there's a path. I mean, did anyone ever think there wasn't a path? That's how they gonna feel. But you knew when it wasn't a path, and you just had that intuition that said, it needs to be a path here. This needs to be, you know what I mean? Out of necessity what is it? Necessity is the mother of creation. It needs to be a path here, you know. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
I wanted to know, I really like your name, it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
No problem. I just wanted to know, like, what's the background of your name and, like, what does it mean?
So, my mom actually named me after her college roommate, here in Morgan, actually. And she was from Sierra Leone, and Maimuna means one who's under the protection of the divine. Yeah. So that's why I walk with like, try me. God already told me, I got my back. But yeah, that's it. And you know what, I have a long name, honestly, I got 6 middle names. My mom's so extra that, you know, she enjoys people not being able to say my name. She's like, ha ha ha. We're decolonized. You know what I mean? Like, she enjoys that. Are you having a problem saying her name? It's because it's not American, huh? But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Any film, stage work in the plans?
I do really want to act. But I also kind of feel like I'm probably gonna end up writing the play or the movie that I act in. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas of things that I have documentary ideas that I want to do. It is so much bigger than music, but music is also the catalyst to make it happen. One of the pieces that I want to write about is the story of Black Indians. How, because you know, I grew up practicing my mother's culture, but there was always a lot of resistance, you know, to the idea of being Black and being Native. Like, how could that happen? And it's like, how could it not? Because all the plantations were surrounded by Native villages before they moved, and one of the reasons they moved Natives off of the East Coast to separate them. There's a tribe called the Seminole. Seminole means runaway. It's not even an actual tribe, it's a mixture of different Muskogee tribes and Africans who fought against the U.S. government in Florida before the Spanish sold Florida to America. Two like really famous figures, Osceola and John Horse. John Horse, who was African, he also spoke many different Native languages and did negotiations for a lot of the Native tribes. And Osceola, they created this band of Seminoles who waged serious war against the American government, and they were Native and they were African. And in the 1830s, during the census, they always say, you know, that they like to say this, well, the only way you could be Black and Indian is because the Cherokees owned slaves, right? Now, slavery is no new concept. All over the world, people own slaves, but American slavery, the brutality of American slavery is unmatched to my knowledge of history. The type of slavery where you erase a person's identity, where you don't allow them to speak their language, to marry, you don't allow them to mother their children, that kind of slavery that breaks the actual human, that was unmatched. So in the 1830s, when the census records came to do a record of the Cherokees that were living in that area, they were saying, why are you guys allowing your slaves to have land and to intermarry? And this is not slavery. You guys are doing it wrong. You know, you're supposed to be subjugating these people. The Africans were speaking Cherokee. They were speaking Choctaw, Chickasaw, you know. And they had become part of the tribe to the point that they had to move them with them to Oklahoma. Because at this point, they're married into the tribe. It was not the same as, you're my property. The concept of slavery was, two tribes have beef, you know, we fight, you lose, I take all of your people. And at some point, they are lower in society, but they can work their way up and become part of us. You get what I'm saying? Where that's not American slavery, you can never work your way up. It's 500 years later, we still try to work our way up, you know? And, but all of my childhood, I danced competition in powwow. You know, I supported Vision Quest, I supported Sundance. My mom's a water pourer. I've been sweating in sweat lodge since I was 7. I know the culture and the tradition, but there will always be this move, you know, of you can't really be Indian. And for me, I'm just like, look, I ain't trying to prove nothing to you. I don't need your college money. I don't need nothing from you, for real. But what I am, you can't take the blood out of my veins. You know what I'm saying? I'm Mississippi Choctaw. There's nothing that your ignorance can do that will change who I am. And I know, you know what I mean? I know the history of my ancestors, both on the African side and both on the Native side. So one of the pieces I want to do is about the Seminole and about the connection between Black and Native people in the Southeast. Any other questions?
What is the wildest place you have? Something you never thought you'd be.
Yeah. I mean, Pompeii was one of them. You know where those ruins are in Pompeii? I used to watch it on the History Channel. is where, it was a volcano, Vesuvius, yeah. And it like, basically like petrified everything in this particular city. And when you go visit it, people are still like this, like, it's real crazy. And we got to sing in the coliseums of this area. I mean, going to the shrine, like where Fela, used to perform, that was wild. Going to visit the Maori in New Zealand, like when I got there, they did like this haka for me in the airport. I don't know if you ever seen the haka where they go, ha, and then, they go, ha. Now, you know what I'm saying? Look it up on YouTube, Haka. It's basically like, it's a welcoming dance, but it looks really scary. And it's basically saying like, we'll beat our opponents. And so I was there with Common, and the women do it too. They do this whole thing. So we're just getting out, come out the baggage claim, but they just start, it's like 15 of them, just, and I was like, okay, I had seen it on YouTube, but it was a different thing, seeing it in real life. And so Common was like, is it cool? Are we? And so, like, the person was picking up the baggage claim was like, no, they're welcoming you. He was like, okay. And all the fans was like, damn, man, this is kind of crazy. And then he threw this, like, feather on the ground. And he was like, all right, make sure when you pick it up, keep eye contact, because if you lose eye contact, that means you want more. And so Common was like, okay. He like picking it up. And he's like, we good, right? So they do this whole dance and song, and when they're done, he tells our interpreter, Common has to sing a song for us. He's like, oh no, I don't do no singing. Can you tell him I'm not singing? He's like, Mumu, sing something. So we don't all get killed. So I came out and I had to sing a song for them. They had to accept it and say like, okay, y'all are good. Y'all can enter our country. You know what I mean? And it was like, so that was probably like one of the dopest experiences. And I look at it like, I think to myself like, man, like some of these kinds of experiences, I would never be able to afford to just go and have that if it wasn't for music, taking me into different areas and helping me, just allow me to have these cultural interactions with people that are really like, I don't know, they change your perspective about life, they ground you. And and also I traveled through Central America recently with the State Department. We're doing an effort to end femicides in Central America. So basically they've been finding like, hundreds of women's bodies just dumped different places. And so I guess people don't really like to talk about it. So part of our initiative was to talk about the way women are treated, not just in Central America, but everywhere. And a lot of times you'll come into countries and because you're American, they'll already treat you like, oh, you think you all out. You're coming here to tell me about my people, you don't know da-da-da-da. Like one of the places we performed at, they was like, they don't want no American footprint here. So I really had to, and because of the history, that's the other thing, like traveling abroad, you really gotta know the history that America's played with some of these places, because you'll be judged by that, And so I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to even attempt to try and tell you what you're going through or what you do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going through. And the song I opened up with, the Sandra Bland song, I started with that song. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you what we're dealing with. And I just started talking about how women are treated in America. And then one by one, with a group of students, they started opening up and telling me stories about their parents and their auntie and they this one and that one. And we were able to have like a dialogue now to start talking about how should women be treated. And this is, and being in a situation where sometimes, it feels like it's a little dangerous here, but knowing that you came there really to bring something really powerful, especially for countries where people feel like, why would an American come here? Like you found, they feel like, oh, Americans, y'all too big to come here and see us. I'm sure you wouldn't come see us. And for me to come sit and break bread, sit on the floor with you, like politic with you, build with you, it really does something really powerful for not just their own personal feelings, but for like diplomatic relations. That's the reason, like we were sitting there with by the government, so it really does do something. Music is like that one thing that can cross political boundaries, racial boundaries. In that moment when y'all sharing, exchanging that music, we don't have no color, like we don't have no position or political power. Like it's really like God is working on all of us right now in this moment, reminding us, who we are. Okay, we wrap up. Any other questions? And if you want to hear some of my music too, I'm on YouTube. So the easiest way, because my name is long, Maimuna Youssef, right? But if you go to my website, mumufresh.com, MUMU fresh.com, All the links will be up there to like music videos I've done. I have like probably two albums on iTunes, but I also have other music, unplugged sample music on Bandcamp.
Tiny Desk.
Yes, oh yeah, so yeah, I know about Tiny Desk. So and yeah, so you can check out Tiny Desk. I think there is a link on my website to the Tiny Desk. You all familiar with NPR Tiny Desk?
Oh, yes.
Okay. You guys?
I'm
No, you good.
That was my additional question too.
Yeah.
I was working with last.
With Robert Glasper?
Yeah, that's my inspiration.
Oh yeah, Robert's dope. Robert's super dope. I mean, yeah, even like we had recorded that song before, but really the chords that he put, the verse that I spit on Tiny Desk, I had recorded on my album, Dimension Babies, With Me and Get Dummy. But the chords that he put to it, it gave it a very emotional feel, and it allowed the lyrics to be heard in a different way that was more compassionate, you know. What I love about the piece, that it was a piece about misogyny, about how women are treated in the music business and in their personal lives, in the workforce field. But there were so many men that resonated with it. And I really think the music that he was playing, like when he was playing those chords, it even choked me up, you know, like I'm over here getting choked up thinking about the whole thing and really, really wanting to see progress and change as opposed to coming from a perspective of y'all did this and it's like, yo, y'all know what's happening is not okay. Can we fix this? Everyone knows it's not cool, right? Can we just talk about this? Can we work on this? And yeah, so working with him, I feel like he gave it that bed of emotion. His playing is very, very emotional and introspective and allows you to accept, you know, the lyrics even better. You know, I mean, I love the August Green Project. They did a great job. Him and Kareem Briggins, Bernice and Common did a great job on that project. So they have invited me. They were the Tiny Desk was a tribute to 4 women. So myself, Andrew Day, Brandy, and Robert Glasper's cousin, who had passed away the week before. And so I did that verse in honor for all women. But the amount of men who have called me saying, or not even called me, like DM me, saying, thank you, you have saved my marriage. Like, I'm looking at my wife in a whole nother way and realizing how much I've neglected her. Or I'm really checking myself and not even seeing like that I wasn't empathizing with her struggle. Like, you know what I'm saying? That is, to me, that's like, that's everything. That's everything to know that you've changed somebody's perspective with how they deal with a person that they live in a house with all this time and wasn't even able to see her. And then something that you said, a complete stranger, is allowing him to see her in a different way. And he's, you know what I mean? And that really is, you know, just the power of music. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed working with them. And I've worked with them before on the Nina Simone soundtrack. They did with the song, the Layla Hathaway did. I'm on that song. So yeah, and I'll be doing my own Tiny Desk June 22nd. So make sure you all check that out. Okay. Yeah. So it's so crazy that it went viral. You know what I mean? For like, you know, normally like only twerking videos go viral. You know? I was like, oh, I went viral. I wasn't even twerking. And so I was just so happy to know that something that meant so much to me, that people, it resonated with people when it's time. You know what I mean? It's time. People are like, oh my God, thank you. Breath of fresh air, finally. You know, I guess they got tired of twerking. And then so I'm just really grateful that people really gravitated towards it, because Sway saw it and called me, or he DM'd me like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I love you. You're amazing. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, maybe we can, I hope we cross paths. I was like, well, you ain't gotta hope. I'll come up to the studio. So they ended up, you know, interviewing me, put me on Sway in the Morning. I had to do the what do you call it? The 5 fingers of death in the valley of the hyenas. No, let me tell you though, why is the music, they have like a speaking part. I have my headphones on. They got a speaking part that starts before the music starts. And it's like, you can't do it. Many have come, most have failed. Will you fail? So I was like, no, this is so discouraging. I'm like, this is the most discouraging intro ever. But it was dope. It just definitely took me back to being on the front steps with my brother. You know, my heart racing, like, you know, having to have this spit and really prove yourself again, you know. So it's cool. Any other questions? I got music in here too, if y'all want to get some music to that. But I know we guys going for lunch. But yeah, was there any other questions about like, I don't know, anything that relates to your own practices?
Well, I mean, because actually related to that, so you, sometimes I was spot and actually went to eat.
Ah.
Dr. Devon told me it was funny.
Yeah.
I was figuring out to do something for you.
Please, I want to hear it. Come on, I love it. Dang, that's dope. Yeah, I don't know how can we do that? How can we play?
I mean,
I don't know if there's an artist board. Feel free to plug it up. I don't really know how they got it set up.
seven.
No pressure. Right.
So the first, so the first scenario would be like really, really heavy, because you never really seen those two. Speaking to like,
Everybody, thank you for coming. We appreciate Mumu Fresh coming and spending some time with us.
Probably upstairs, third floor, third TV.
Okay.
Give me a second. So we're gonna see you upstairs.
Okay, all right. She looks just like me. She's beautiful. Okay, oh, okay, bring it on here. Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Can I get you and your partner in production here?
We're going to just. You're good, you got a clean meeting?
Yeah, I went up there, I didn't see anyone up there.
All right, they should be there now.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Have you not? Oh, well, probably she went to the TV studio, which is 356. That's good.